Most people think spiritual awakenings are all about beautiful realizations and emotional clarity, but that's only the beginning. The first and second awakenings often happen in the mind and heart. You start to see through illusions, question your past, heal some pain and feel lighter. But by the time the third awakening arrives, the shift goes deeper. It moves into your body. You don't just think differently anymore, you feel differently. We are deeply into a life change. And that's when most people begin to question what's happening, because it's no longer just a mental or emotional experience, it's a physical one. Your body, which once followed the patterns of your personality, now begins to resist the very identity you've built. There's tension in places you never noticed before. Tightness in your chest that doesn't come from stress, but from years of ignoring your inner truth. Your stomach may churn not from fear, but from energy trying to move. Even your posture begins to shift, as if your spine is remembering how to hold your soul. It's not pain for the sake of pain. It's the body preparing to house a deeper self. What's happening is that your nervous system is being asked to carry a higher voltage. It's being stretched, pulled, and rewired, not by force, but by the gravity of your own evolution. It's being stretched, pulled, and rewired not by force, but by the gravity of your own evolution. You might feel restless, achy, or exhausted, yet unable to explain why. That's because you're no longer just going through life. You're embodying something much larger than the life you once knew. The third awakening doesn't ask for your thoughts. It asks for your flesh to participate. It calls your whole being forward. And once your body begins to listen, there's no turning back. There's a strange fear that comes in the third awakening. Not the kind that rushes in from outer danger, but the kind that rises from within, unprovoked and unexplained. Your heart starts to race while you're just sitting still. You feel a wave of dizziness or pressure in your chest, yet the doctor finds nothing wrong. These are not symptoms of illness. They are signals of transition. Your nervous system is no longer wired only to survive. It is beginning to awaken. What most don't understand is that the body stores everything the mind cannot process. Every suppressed truth, every forced smile, every emotion you weren't allowed to feel, it lives somewhere in your body. And now, in this deeper awakening, your system begins to clear it out. But release rarely feels gentle. It feels like chaos, like panic, like something's wrong. When in truth, something is finally becoming right. Your body is not betraying you. It is updating itself to match the consciousness you're stepping into. You are moving from the conditioned self to the authentic self, and your nervous system is the bridge. So yes, there will be moments of overwhelm. There will be days when your body trembles without cause, when tears come for no reason, when you are exhausted just from being. That's because your system is doing the sacred work of realignment. And then, so when you ask yourself, why do I feel these same symptoms over and over again? It's there to condition you. That's because your system is doing the sacred work of realignment. You are breaking centuries of silence, not just in your own life, but in your ancestry, in the collective field. And though it feels like weakness, this is power. The kind of power that no longer hides behind intellect or force, but trembles quietly as it expands into something real. During the third spiritual awakening, something curious begins to happen with your sense of time, especially through your sleep. You may wake up suddenly in the early hours of the morning, or often at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m., alert, heart open, mind quiet, but aware. These aren't just sleep disturbances. These are callings. The old rhythms that once guided your life begin to dissolve, and your body, still tethered to its biological clock, struggles to keep pace with something far more mysterious: divine timing. You may find it harder to fall asleep at night, not because your mind is racing, but because your energy is active, charged, buzzing. Or you may be overcome with sleepiness in the middle of the day, as if your soul is asking for a pause to integrate something invisible. This isn't insomnia, and it's not fatigue in the ordinary sense. It's a reorientation. Your body is attempting to sync with cycles that don't belong to the calendar or the clock. They belong to the soul. In these moments, you are slipping in and out of dimensions of awareness. Time becomes elastic. You notice synchronicities more often. Numbers repeat, moments stretch, hours vanish. And through it all, your body doesn't know whether to rest or rise. This confusion isn't a problem. It's a signal that you're no longer living on borrowed rhythms. You're beginning to align with something timeless. And once that deeper rhythm finds you, even rest becomes sacred. As the third awakening deepens, the body begins to reject everything that no longer serves your vibration. This rejection isn't dramatic, it's subtle, quiet, and often confusing. One day, your favorite food suddenly feels heavy. Another day, the music you once loved begins to sound hollow. Even certain people, conversations, or environments that once comforted you now feel draining, almost toxic. This is not about preference. It is about purification. The soul is no longer willing to digest what keeps you small. You may try to go back to old habits just to feel a sense of normalcy. You might crave the comfort of routine, of what was familiar, but something in your body protests. You eat the thing and your stomach tightens. You return to the crowd and your energy sinks. This isn't punishment, it's protection. The third awakening initiates a kind of spiritual discipline, where your system becomes acutely sensitive to what is misaligned. You cannot fake resonance anymore. You cannot pretend that what once worked still does. At first, it feels like loss, a shedding of personality, a stripping of comfort. But underneath that discomfort is clarity. A new intelligence forming in your body, one that knows when to pull away, when to say no, and when to let go without needing a reason. This intelligence doesn't come from logic. It comes from alignment. And when you finally listen, not just with your mind, but with your cells, you realize this isn't restriction, it's refinement. There comes a point in the third awakening where your body begins to speak in a language more ancient than words. You feel pain, but it doesn't come from injury. Pressure builds in the forehead as if something is trying to open. The back aches in the same place every day, or the neck tightens as if it's holding something unsaid. These aren't symptoms to be feared. They are invitations. The body is mapping out what the soul is healing. Every place that holds discomfort is a doorway. The throat tightens not because you are unwell, but because you've swallowed too much silence. The heart feels heavy, not from sorrow, but from truths waiting to be released. The crown tingles, the spine pulses, the The solar plexus burns. Each sensation is a signal, not of sickness, but of awakening. Energy that was once frozen in memory is now rising into motion, and the body for the first time is allowing it. Most try to push these feelings away, rushing to fix what isn't broken. But these pains are sacred. They are part of your inner architecture, shifting, evolving, cracking open. Your chakras are not just abstract wheels of light. They are alive within you, and in this stage, they begin to wake the flesh they've always lived inside. This is why the discomfort doesn't respond to medicine, but to awareness. Presence becomes the treatment. Stillness becomes the salve. And when you stop resisting and begin listening, the pain softens, not because it disappears, but because it's finally been seen. It's the paradox few speak about, how during your third awakening, you can feel utterly exhausted on the inside, and yet something about you begins to glow. You wake up tired, drained from processing emotions and energy all night, but when you look in the mirror, your eyes hold something different. And then you look in the mirror. Your eyes hold something different. And then you look in the mirror. Your eyes hold something different. A light, a clarity, a stillness that wasn't there before. Others begin to notice it too. They ask if you've done something to your face, changed your routine, or had more rest. But the truth is, you haven't added anything. You've been emptying. What they're seeing isn't surface, it's essence. Because once you stop fighting the internal noise and start surrendering to what's real, your energy begins to purify. You no longer leak your light through constant people-pleasing or performance. You begin to keep it within. And what overflows is presence. Even when your body aches, even when your heart feels raw, there's a calm that walks with you. Your presence becomes medicine to others, even if you feel like you're still unraveling. That's the nature of this stage. It strips you down to something so real, so raw, that even your weariness carries beauty. You are no longer trying to become light, you are light, hidden in the folds of your own undoing. It is not perfection that shines through you now. It is truth. It is surrender. It is the quiet radiance of someone who has stopped running and begun simply being.